And now back to your regular programming.
If you speak better to yourself.
You showed up for probably the dumbest conversation we've ever had on this show.
Let's have that smile again.
Tell me how that happens. Physically should not happen.
Relax.
If you say
Give me as well.
3 times a day, God will line it up.
He's just an absolute hack, and he gets his ass kicked by the teammates every week. It's just terrible.
Hope everything's working right. I didn't check. Welcome back to Hack City. DeLeone and Sean Anderson, 2 former college football players from the University of Rhode Island. And today we're here to recap FCS football action from week 11. Lots to go over, especially the outcome of the Montana-UC Davis game. Was glad that game was on ESPN2. Got to catch a good bit of it last night and then check up on the rest of the outcomes. South Dakota State, wagon as always. Plenty more to get to. Before we get there, Sean, word for BetOnline, please.
I'd rather not.
Why? Oh, because they took all your money this week.
BetOnline. It's the world's most trusted betting platform. Your number one source for online betting, from the earliest odds to in-game live betting. And BetOnline provides you with all the action and the ability to watch the games as they happen with the largest selection of odds. Oh, they do have a large selection of odds. Big old stack of odds that you could go through. And
lots of them for you to get wrong.
you could pick and choose and see what you want. Over, under, spread, whatever you want. You could tease. It doesn't matter. You're going to suck. Your team's going to lose to the Saints. Your team's going to lose to the Panthers. It's going to be a bad Sunday.
Oh, wait, by the way, I went 3-0 again this week.
In what?
In NFL picks.
I haven't even.
I told you about the Saints. I told you.
I told you what would happen. Young Wayne missed 3 field goals today. I told you what happened. It wasn't just your juice. It wasn't just your juice. I explained to you, if Young Wayne misses a field goal, they're losing that game.
Happy.
He missed 3 field goals. I'm happy that the interim coach just talked about clogging toilets before the game.
Is a good bit.
That's what I like.
Hashtag Rhode.
Head to BetOnline today to get in on the action with America's most trusted site for online wagering. BetOnline, the game starts here.
I think you went 2-1.
Okay. Well, I went 0-3 in college or some nonsense like that. Oh, yeah, I did. 0-3. That's a great week.
That's fantastic. All right, well, we're not here to yell about bets as the energy seems like we were. We're here to talk about FCS football. We're going to wrap things up at the end of the show with a little bit more of an in-depth breakdown on the UC Davis-Montana game. But let's hit the water cooler and go through some of these top outcomes. Youngstown State dominated SIU. Or wait, shit. The way that you wrote this, I'm confused. SIU blows 28-0 lead.
Youngstown State blew a 28-0 lead to SIU to lose 37-33. SIU came out the victor. With their biggest comeback.
That was what I thought. I started reading it and I was like, wait a minute, SIU beat Youngstown State. Why did it? Very weirdly worded. I felt for the prompter trap, as I probably should have. Let me try that one more time. I'm going to leave this into the edit.
Okay.
Youngstown State blew a 28-0 lead and lost to a lifeless SIU team that has not been very good this year, 37-33. Very unexpected outcome, 19-0 run here for SIU to win the ball game.
Yeah, not much of a reason to pay attention to SIU and really Youngstown at this point.
Yeah.
But if it's a big enough point of note, we're going to add it in. SIU quarterback Jake Curry kind of went off. And we know they've had their issues at quarterback so far this year. He had 322, 3 touchdowns, 78 yards on the ground, and a rushing touchdown. And they outscore Youngstown 19-0 in the fourth. That's just got to feel like a gutting loss. Youngstown kind of playing for pride, kind of playing for a good record. Maybe we end up on the bubble and have a conversation about it. But no longer. Youngstown State gets the boot.
Yeah, bringing up these elimination games where teams are for sure out of the equation, that's one you can't drop. That's a bad loss against an SIU team that dealt with injuries and really started to tumble throughout the part of the later stretch of the season. 28-0 lead is ridiculous. That's insane. And that being the biggest comeback in SIU history is a pretty cool stat to also have in there. William & Mary, pretty unexpected loss on their end to Elon, which Elon like this year has just been that, and they're always like this. They're that gnat that just kind of keeps buzzing around and biting your neck. And it's not really big enough to do a lot of damage, but it's like, hey man, can you stop biting me? I'm just trying to enjoy myself. William & Mary's their season, underwhelming. Their offense wasn't in this game as they put up 36 points. Their defense, where they have had a lot of pride John Pius was a guy that we talked a lot about, and him moving on to go play for Wisconsin. You can tell that they're missing some of the talent that they had on their D-line to this point where they're 6-4 in the year. And really, I think they might be out of the playoff convo. They might be pushing themselves out of that conversation with the Big Sky and the Missouri Valley having a lot of teams in that picture to make the playoff.
Well, William & Mary was already off my ballot, and now they are double off my ballot. And Elon, I like that you compared them to a gnat. I have them as the pebble in your shoe, as they're 4-6 on the season and are just knocking down teams that are still above 500. And William & Mary at 6-4.
Yeah,
everyone's just bunched up now at 3-3 in the CAA, aside from the leaders in that conference. So that's what happens. You just get caught in the mix. I know you don't play a lot of Mario Kart, Joe, but you either want to be in the front running in the first 3 spots.
I play a lot of Mario Kart.
Or you want to be
put that on me.
Bagging in the 9 to 12 spots, but in that mix, that 4 to 8 reign mix, all you're doing is getting hit by shells, run over by stars, and you can't really break away. Nothing's going to happen for you. William & Mary had a chance to front run, and now they don't have it any longer.
Womp womp. William & Mary out of that picture, and we're starting to get a better understanding of who's going to win the CAA. We've got Stony Brook, Rhode Island are up there in Richmond, have all had fantastic seasons. The Tribe, we're slowly losing. It kind of feels like we're in Survivor. We're just kind of slowly losing teams in that CAA championship picture. Central Arkansas. This is one that we need to like really address here. Central Arkansas losing to Eastern Kentucky 31-24. I think if you asked me this and brought this up at the beginning of the season or like even midway through the season, I would have said to you, wow, Central Arkansas, huge upset. That's terrible. 31-24, and this Eastern Kentucky team has been extremely underrated. Right now at this point in time, they're 6-4. They have a couple of quality wins on their resume. They actually might be in a decent position to be a sneaky late playoff ad. But I don't think this is as much of an upset as some people might believe. Central Arkansas, though, talk about a team that's tumbling.
Yeah, EKU, 3rd in the UAC. You can't deny it. Back-to-back wins against Tarleton and now Central Arkansas. That's huge. They've been competitive all year. They've been hanging around. Lost by only 2 scores to Abilene Christian when they were really rolling. They made my ballot this week because they deserved it. You go back to back against leaders in your conference, you're going to earn that spot in my top 25. Their defense was solid, 8 tackles for loss against Central Arkansas. They had a fumble recovery and a pick. And Central Arkansas, I thought it was just going to be a team that maybe dropped one goofy one, and they got back on track because they have the horses. They have the guys to carry them in the late stretch of the season. But they couldn't help themselves, and they dropped another goofy one. Not saying that EKU isn't like good enough to go and get a win versus them, but Central Arkansas I thought was head and shoulders more talented than this team going into it, and apparently not. Apparently we are going to have a lot of confusion and controversy over the last 2 weeks in this purple conference where the purple teams keep on dropping.
Yeah, purple's not as strong as we thought it was going to be, but that's got to be the strangest thing is that Central Arkansas looked like they had solidified themselves as a seeded team, as a top 10 team. And I don't think that there's an answer on the UAC right now. It seems like Abilene Christian is the most firmly in place, but Central Arkansas is like completely out of it right now. The current standings as they sit, ACU at 6-1, Tarleton at 5-1, Southern Utah of all teams at 4-2, which beat Eastern Kentucky earlier in the season pretty handedly. EKU's at 4-2. And then Central Arkansas is 3-3. So there is going to be, and I believe Abilene plays Tarleton this upcoming week. Wow, to the UAC, man, is freaking going to be exciting for the final 2 weeks of the season.
Yeah, no kidding. Stephen F. Austin isn't a slouch for Abilene Christian either. It's a lot of great running backs.
Stop naming purple teams.
Stop naming purple teams. Don't worry. They don't have North Alabama later on in the year, so that's another one.
Thomas in the UAC? Can we relocate them to the UAC? Wait, are they already in?
They can't be.
The UAC is so new that I just can't keep up with who's in the freaking UAC.
All our purple is North Alabama, Central Arkansas, Tarleton, Abilene. Is there anyone sneaking purple in here? Not really. But yeah, those are the big 4 there. A lot of really good running backs in that conference. Shunderick Powell. I don't know if he's been banged up. The numbers are showing.
North Alabama is the other purple team that's in there, but we need to figure out how we can get St. Thomas. We need Northwestern State. I'm a total ass for cutting you off. Houston Christian could be in that conversation. Western Carolina needs to be relocated. And I think
Houston Christian.
What about Holy Cross? Houston Christian. Oh, no. Yeah, they're blue. Never mind.
Furman could go sliding in there.
Yeah,
Western Carolina.
We could put Furman in there. And then would you and I be willing to consider moving down a conference to a smaller conference? Albany, I think that Albany would fit geographically, maybe.
Do you think Weber has the budget to fly all over the place?
I think that they could. We've got the bones of a plan here. We've got the bones of a serious plan.
Now we just got to get on a call with some commissioners and representatives and say, hey, folks, look, we've got a new idea for you. All right. It's not traditional. We're going to lead with that, but it could be awesome.
So for anyone who's keeping track of college football, like in the weeds of college football, I implore you to do a little bit of digging into Project Rudy, which is private equity that is trying to infuse itself into college football. These firms are trying to invest money. They're trying to get a return off it. They're trying to expand it and professionalize it. Imagine if we kind of Trojan horse it. We've got lots of plans to revolutionize the sport. So we need to get all these conferences on the phone. We're going to get a conference call going, and we're going to spend the first 15 minutes of the call. It's going to be kind of like a timeshare pitch.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they're going to.
You guys could get in on the ground floor.
It's going to. The viewership is going to go through the roof, and then finally, after they're extremely frustrated, we've already talked to one commissioner, by the way, Tom Wistersill, who I'm sure that we can get on the phone again.
Oh,
I'm sure we can pitch him on this. And we're just going to talk for 20 minutes straight, and then eventually they're going to be like, all right, what's the idea? We're going to put all the purple teams in one conference.
And Project Grimace. That's what we're going with. All right. Look, you're going to be playing for free eventually. The money's going to be rolling in. You don't get it.
Grimace is going to be at every game. McDonald's hasn't agreed to sponsor us, but we're going to make
You saw what happened with the Mets this year, right? They soared in popularity.
The Hawk Tua girl.
Oh, yeah.
She'll be the commissioner. We'll make her the commissioner.
Why not?
Sorry, we need to get back on track. I'm sorry, everybody. Bad loss for Central Arkansas. Their playoff hopes are 1,000% on the line. They might be out of the mix. Simo, what the hell? This is the weirdest one of the week. There were a couple other weird scores that we've already talked about here, but Simo losing to Lindenwood, which I have besmirched apparently to the point where they took it personally, that I didn't think that they should be moving up, and they haven't exactly been a very lively competitive team, but they hold Simo to 12 points. Simo was on this run with DeLeone that I thought that they were going to be this great playoff team, this competitive playoff team. What the hell happened?
This is a massive question mark in the FCS landscape because Simo had a not great loss earlier in the year, started rallying back, chipping away, going to get some more goodwill. They did. And you thought maybe, they're back into a lot of people's top 10s. We know what they have. They have the quarterback. They have some really good weapons. And now we're going to do this against Lindenwood. And we're only going to put up 234 yards of total offense, which is nutso for them. And then we're going to have Lindenwood and quarterback Nate Glantz throw 3 touchdowns, and they're going to run for $190. I don't get it. This is just one of these freak dystopian football matchups that this is like a 1910 score of football where you're seeing an Ivy League play Alabama, and it's knotted up at half. This is a weird one. I think this is a burn tape game, and you just got caught in a weird vortex for Simo. It wasn't enough for me to take them off the ballot because I know what they are, but at the same time, maybe I don't really know what they are after seeing that they're capable of this.
The craziest part is essentially Lindenwood had a 14-6 lead at halftime, and then they just couldn't recover. Lindenwood held control in the second half, and they tried to get back into it. The strangest thing about this is that their offense, Simo's offense, was completely non-existent. They only throw for 234 total yards in this game, 2 for 3 on third down, 2 turnovers. This is completely against everything that we knew that Simo was.
Really ugly loss, really weird loss. And one of those freaky ones that you kind of just hoping to move past.
Yeah.
Because if they drop another goofy one, then the entire narrative shifts. All these teams that crack the top 10 at some point, or crack probably the 12, the top 12. You're talented enough to get there, so you get one little asterisk, at least for me, where it's, all right, folks, it's football. They're on scholarship too. They have guys, they have coaches, they have guys that plan for them. But if you get 2 of those, we're not on a 3-strike system.
It seems like a pretty low barrier of entry for competitiveness.
We are on a 1-strike system. With
you got some
teams.
players and some coaches, some uniforms. Those are important too. Then you must be competitive enough to show up on the field. All right, next game that we've got here, our Rhode Rams. They dropped the game against Delaware, technically ending their FCS undefeated streak, 24-21. Marcus Yarns ran for 174 and a touchdown. Rhode was up 14-7, and then Delaware started to pull away. Yarns built on his amazing career. I think he has 2,000 career rushing yards that he achieved in this game. I got to be honest, I wouldn't, and I think most would agree with this. I don't think that this is a major detraction for URI and the resume that they've built. I had a couple people tag me today asking, do you think that they're out of the playoffs? And no, I don't think so. Their schedule, the resume is great. The record is great. But you're losing to a team that's in the process of transitioning up. That can't be held too aggressively against them. It's still a loss. It still counts as an FCS loss, but it shouldn't be held too gravely against them.
No, this is a fine loss. I am not going overreaction mode on this, at least on the game itself. Joe Flacco burner in the doghouse for me with a very quick response after the game ended. Getting a little chippy, talking a little trash. He's on hack. They are on Hack Watch now. You're not official Dustin Helton yet level where the trolling has to be truly noted. But trust me, you're definitely on the radar now. But for Rhode Island, look, how we weigh these games against teams that are moving up is, I think everyone treats it a little bit differently, but within the same umbrella. Almost like an FBS game. If they win, great. That's a great win. If they lose, all right, we can't take too much stock into it, but it's also a little wrinkle because they're still technically FCS. It's not like you're playing Michigan. You're playing a team that you are at least on some level of par with. But I thought this was a fine game for Rhode Island. If Delaware wasn't moving up and it was just Delaware, I would have Delaware seated higher, but I would not drop Rhode crazy after this loss.
Future Grimace League member Western Carolina dropped their game to ETSU, effectively talk about playoff hopes being, this is a big playoff deciding week. Talk about playoff hopes being knocked out for Western Carolina as they lost to ETSU 24-21. Geno English had 2 touchdowns in this game. So this is the weird part about this when I was trying to figure out what happened. Essentially, Western Carolina had a shanked punt that set up a Devontae Houston 14-yard touchdown run that won them the football game. That is, and look, we played on a team that had multiple punters that had a lot of shanked punts.
Oh, man.
Me being a long snapper, snapping to said individuals that were shanking punts. That is one of the most demoralizing things that can happen to your team, because when you're not playing great and it's close and you're like, all right, we just need to do X, Y, and Z and execute. And then you just watch that ball flutter out of bounds and you just look up and you're going, oh, shit. You just hear everybody on the punt team going, oh, no. And you hear coaching staff just yelling at the punter, what are you doing? Pull a Debo Samuel on that punter if you can't.
I was about to ask you how you felt about that today.
I mean, if you're, I didn't see what the context. I saw the clip, but I didn't see the context of what caused Debo to react. If you're messing up, you deserve to get
Moody
hit.
missed 3 straight field goals, and I think it was a very tightly heated.
Yeah, I'd be in my kicker's face if he missed 3 straight field goals.
He choked out the long snapper.
I don't like Tabor Pepper. I got into it once with Tabor Pepper on Twitter. I don't like Tabor Pepper.
Oh,
He's
that's
a dork.
the 49ers long snapper's name?
Yeah, Tabor Pepper is his name. He's a dork.
Tabor Pepper?
Yeah, Tabor Pepper.
You guys can't.
I've heard he's a. I've heard he's a.
One of you is normal.
Goofball. He's very into Dungeons and Dragons. During the pandemic, he was streaming on Twitch him playing Dungeons and Dragons. He's a total dork. I don't like him.
Okay, gotcha. Yeah, that's a lot to process for the special teams unit. All right. Not great.
To what we were just talking about.
Yeah, big win for ETSU. The Socon, really exciting with the 2 through 4 spots. Mercer has it locked up. Clinched the conference this weekend. 9-1 overall, 6-1 in conference. But you have Chattanooga, who's good, ETSU, who's good, and Western Carolina, who's also good. Mixing it up in those 2 through 4. And I think at this point, whoever's on the 4 in this conference is on the chopping block, which is unfortunate. I know Western Carolina lost their starting quarterback, which is rough. So it might only be 3 moving on from the Socon, even though they have 4 that are very talented.
I'm going to be very blunt. We might only get one Socon team in. There's a potential for one Socon team. I think we're going to be max 2. I think it's me, Mercer and Chattanooga, assuming that Chattanooga, who do they have?
They have 2 winnable games.
Sanford and Austin Peay next. So assuming that they win out, they realistically can get in. I just don't know if ETSU at the current moment has.
They're going to win. ETSU very well may win out. They got VMI and Furman,
and
then they're sitting 6-2 in conference.
What's their big win that they're going to point to and say, like, this is what helped their resume? Chattanooga, I know that they lost to Western Carolina. God, the Socon is a mess.
Yeah, I mean, ETSU got to win over Western Carolina, but how much are you waiting it when it wasn't with their number 1 quarterback? I don't know. Yeah, it's definitely going to be a mess. They needed to get that game against Mercer, I think, if they wanted to definitively make it. But yeah, now that you're pointing out, it might just be 2 or 3. I would lean 3 because they're actually 3 good teams.
The only biggest difference that I have on the way that I do my ballot, the average margin of victory, actually the average margin of victory for Chattanooga and ETSU are very similar. So maybe I spoke too soon. Maybe you could get 3 in, but ETSU might be a little bit of a long shot. Last game that we're getting to before we break down Montana versus UC Davis. STSU, they killed off North Dakota. North Dakota's dreams, dead, dunzos. Not only did they lose, but they got smoked. 38-7 was the final score. Gronowski does Gronowski things. 3 touchdown passes to Griffin Wieldy. Is it Wieldy or Wildy? Wildy, I'm always messing that up.
I don't know. We're going to hear about it. You're trying.
Yeah, we're going to. Yeah. It's STSU good win, though, over North Dakota.
Yeah, North Dakota would have hoped to see a little more life out of them, but it was over last week. And it was effectively somewhat over the week before, and we knew it was going to take a miracle. And they didn't have a miracle in them. And South Dakota State started to put things together. I like seeing them get a couple guys, their skill guys over 100 yards each. Angel Johnson, 100 yards on the ground and a touchdown there. So if they really start finding their form, getting hot end of the year, and everyone starts racking up 100-yard games and starts becoming like South Dakota State skill position players, and they're going to be an absolute beast come late November.
Now, the premier game of the week that had also significant playoff implications on the line, UC Davis beats Montana on the road 30-14. We discussed how Montana is still in pole position to push themselves into the playoff. And the reason why we talk about a lot of these 6-4 teams that are in the mix to get in that aren't in as big of conferences, a team like Montana finishing with 4 losses is probably going to get that benefit of the doubt. This loss to UC Davis does not do them in. One thing that stands out, though, from watching this game, one, that UC Davis offense is as legit as we talked about coming into the game. Passing efficiency, maybe it wasn't to the same degree as we would expect for Miles Hastings, but he still played fantastically. Lan Larison also had a number of big plays, big 4th down conversion late into the game on a scoring drive that was super critical for them locking down this performance. Their defense continues to shine with a ton of big plays, ton of turnovers that they needed to produce. Rex Connors being one of those guys. Actually, the Connors brothers, both had interceptions, Porter and Rex, who Rex is going to be actually the one who gets the NFL shot of the two. But they both produced big plays in this game. This UC Davis team, Ivy goes so far as to say that they have locked themselves into that number 4 spot, depending on what happens against Montana State. The biggest talking point. Actually, I'll wait till we get to Montana. Your thoughts on UC Davis before we get to Montana?
They're so solid, man. They're just so solid. And I know I've been in my bully pulpit the last couple weeks about them, but I felt vindicated having them at 4. The only problem with them being at 4 is that there's 3 teams that are just in their own class. But UC Davis, as close as you could be to cracking the top 3 in the FCS, as we've seen a team this year, and they are so strong. Hastings has had a great year, and the way I know you're tired of me saying it, but Lan Larison is not getting enough recognition. Somebody's going to eventually get eyes on this guy and say, "Wow, What have we been missing? Where's the bowl invites? Where's the stuff that's going on in January where we're in the underwear doing the 40 yards and doing our verts? Because he's going to be a dominant person at that. Because week in and week out, he does it not only in the rush game, but the receiving game. 97 on the ground, 6 catches, 48 yards, and a touchdown. I mean, this is like we're seeing all the desire at the next level for dual threat running backs, guys that are hard-nosed enough to run in between the tackle, have juice to get around the edge if there's a slower linebacker, and someone that can slip out in the flat or run a little angle route, catch the ball, and be reliable in case everyone else is covered downfield. That's what Larson does. So I'm hoping he picks up some buzz just because he's been so good in the FCS. Just someone that's just been great and consistent and has been the key piece of this UC Davis offense. If he wasn't playing, I'm sure Hastings would still have a good year. They wouldn't be as good. They wouldn't have the record. This Montana game would be much closer. And a lot of the games earlier in the year, they might drop because they don't have another Mr. Reliable like this in the FCS. He is that dude.
Yeah, Larson's got a pretty big frame. He's from Idaho. That's interesting that UC Davis was able to steal him away. I really do like this UC Davis team because they just play a really complete football game, and they play that complete degree of football that we're used to seeing from Montana. The big talking point, I saw a number of people point this out, and frankly, I agree with them. And we've actually mentioned this. We mentioned this weeks ago. I don't like the 2 QB system. And I think that you have had enough evidence that Logan Fife is the guy that you should have been relying on. He goes 13 of 23 for 147 yards. He does throw an interception. But it felt like a number of the drives that he was in, the passing game was at least more relevant. More importantly, your team very clearly was falling in and out of rhythm when Ayat came into the football game. And I'm not trying to be negative about Ayat. He seems like he's a very dynamic football player. He must be a great leader that they keep giving him these opportunities to play and contribute. He should be your short yardage red zone guy that you bring in because he's a great runner.
Yeah.
But Fife is the player that you need when you need to get back into the football game that should be playing the entirety of all of your important passing downs. I think that this has run its course. If you want to stop playing around with fire, you need to make a pick. There was enough evidence coming into this game to know that Fife, when he was the full-time starter, that they were great.
Yeah, if you think that we're the negative show, why don't you go follow up with Zach McKinnell?
He tweeted about it.
He was letting the chopper sing on Saturday night about Ayat and them.
So not afraid to.
It's not just the mean hack sitting in Jersey, folks. There's kind of a consensus being made that Fife should be leading it. And Ayat's had his highs on the season. He's ran for 4 touchdowns in a game. He's won games for this team. But if we are Montana and we want to make a push and we need to get people really rolling, we need the quarterback that's going to score the most points and deliver the most consistency for the offense. And right now, that's Logan Fife. I definitely wouldn't rule Ayat out of the game plan entirely. I think you nail it. FCS is a perfect landscape for you to have a big, strong quarterback that can throw. You're capable enough. But if you're also strong enough with the legs and you have short yardage or you're within the 20, throw them in. Get creative. These defenses, they're honestly not good enough to keep up with too much creativity throughout a game. So if you have 8 plays drawn up, they cover 4 of them. The other 4 are touchdowns or first downs. So if we were going with that, get creative, Montana. You have a shot, but roll with Fife. You have the offense. Even though the running game this one was really lacking. Gilman, 8 carries for 21 yards, and Ostmo, 6 rushes for 8 yards. That is really
also a big problem. That's also probably one of the biggest problems that comes into this.
And that's not when we previewed talking about UC Davis having a good run defense. That's like maybe they hold Montana to under 150 yards. Yeah. Like that was where I'm not going to break my arm, pat myself on the back saying UC Davis's run defense did that. But they kind of did at some points where these are 2 really good running backs, shut them down. Just a huge win by UC Davis and Montana. Got to get right back to work. Need to immediately.
We're going to get to see him in person. Reminder to Montana fans, we will be in Missoula. Send us a message, DM. We've already had a couple people reach out. Apologies if we don't get back to everybody on the comments on the videos, just because sometimes it's hard to kind of keep track of. And also random usernames. If you want to reach out to us, send us a DM. I've had, again, a couple of people that I've talked to that have been super eager with us. I think we might just try to find a bar on Friday that we can link up and grab beers with folks and just say what's up or connect during the tailgating. Sean, wrap us up here with Fat Stats. I pulled up the Lincoln football game, so I've got some good info in front of me.
Let's get fat with it. Yale had a crazy game, and we'll kick it off with their quarterback, Grant Jordan, 29 for 40, 372 yards, 6 touchdowns, and a rushing touchdown. Tell me that guy can't play for Florida. Yale wide receiver, David Pantelis, 12 catches, 195 yards, 3 touchdowns. Penn quarterback, Liam O'Brien, 22 for 30, 341 yards, 6 touchdowns. He ran the ball for 77 yards and another rushing touchdown. Here we go. Big matchup here. Mercyhurst versus Lincoln, California. Mercyhurst.
Okay, hold on a second here. How did Lincoln get to this game? They came all the way from California. You're telling me that they flew all of these players out from California? I don't think that Mercyhurst has the budget to fly out a team from Cal. I have so many questions about this. There is no shot in hell that Mercyhurst paid Lincoln to come play them. If you want to schedule a game against a nothing team, schedule it against Southern Connecticut, which is right nearby.
There's a possibility that somebody on the Mercyhurst staff has a relative that is a flight attendant, and the entire Lincoln, California team was able to fly standby.
Or they you said they were stuck in the baggage hold.
No. It's very weird game.
Oh, no, they're in Pennsylvania. I'm making a mistake here. But still, there's plenty of schools in Pennsylvania that you could escape. Shippensburg, I think that's in Pennsylvania.
Well, Mercyhurst quarterback Adam Urena had a big day against the very strong Lincoln team. 16 for 18, 215 yards, and 6 passing touchdowns. Eastern Illinois wide receiver Cooper Willman.
Shippensburg is in Pennsylvania. If anyone was wondering, I did.
Joe geography over here. Cooper Willman from Eastern Illinois got fat on him. 11 catches, 291 yards, 3 touchdowns. Alabama A&M running back Donovan Eaglin, 26 rushes, 148 yards, 5 touchdowns, and one of the 4 different Donovans on the offense. I was looking through the box score.
There's 4 Donovans?
Different Donovans. I think 2 running backs and 2 wide receivers, or it might be 1 running back, 3 wide receivers. But it felt like I was having a little mini stroke trying to see exactly who did what in this game. Montana State's offense got tagged in this one. 51 carries, 511 yards, and 7 rush touchdowns against Sac State. Yeah, that's pretty fat. Incarnate Word quarterback Zach Calzada, 23 for 33, 402, and 5 touchdowns. Close it out. Idaho running back Deshaun Buchanan, 22 carries, 212 yards, 2 touchdowns.
This is a rare one here. Am I allowed to Okay, first, am I allowed to pitch one?
I'll take a pitch, yeah.
Is it allowed to be a whole defense?
I will hear a defensive pitch.
Okay. The Mercyhurst defense. You should have known this is coming. The Mercyhurst defense had 7 interceptions.
What?
6 different guys picked off this poor soul. Jack Clable, who's probably 35. Wait, we need to do a little research on Jack Clable.
This show is descending into madness.
You need to stop bringing them up.
I told you couldn't go down the rabbit hole because I went down the rabbit hole.
I found his Twitter. There's no way that this kid's listed. He's listed himself at 6'2", 190. There's no shot that he's 6'2", 190.
Seeing in some of the listings from the URI offensive line room at a JUCO, AD put himself as like 6'4".
No,
on his huddle, he was like 6'2", maybe.
Yeah, there's some clips of him playing. He is awfully thick. They played all of. Why do you keep scheduling? Oh my god! Wait. Okay, wait. Before we get out of here, nobody else can see this, but watch this Clavel kid get hit on this throw. Credit to him for throwing this ball. Watch this. Watch how hard he gets hit.
Oh my god!
Gets blasted.
Oh, this kid can play. Look at that.
I guess.
Stand and deliver.
Yeah, I mean, apparently he can't because he threw 7 interceptions. Where are the highlights from that game? I'm not trying to be mean.
If you want to,
I'm more so pointing out that Mercyhurst had 7 interceptions, which is insane. Yeah, that's my pick.
All right, that's your pick. That's a good.
I want to know what the record is for interceptions in a game. Wait, let me look at that's got to be. This is journalism right here.
Oh,
NCAA
good God.
record for.
All right, I'm going to go with let's go with Cooper Willman. He almost hit that big 300 mark on the receiving yards, and he had 3 tuds. So Eastern Illinois getting some representation here. This is a tough one, though. A lot of quarterbacks with 6 touchdowns.
9 is the most interceptions thrown in a game by an Auburn quarterback.
Oh, okay. Do we know who the Auburn quarterback was playing?
Florida.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
Wasn't Lincoln University, I can tell you that much.
Jesus.
All right, sorry, who did you pick?
I picked Cooper Willman from Eastern Illinois.
Okay, that's a good note to wrap us up on. Hopefully, wait. Okay, last thing. Who does Lincoln University play next?
Oh, we can't keep tracking them. We don't have the bandwidth on this show.
Yes, we do. We're doing it right now. This isn't something that I'm going to do ahead of time. All right, I promise we're going to be done after this. Wait, which Lincoln University am I looking at?
California, Oakland, the one in Oakland.
Oh, God, Lincoln. Oh, God, this is impossible. Wait, Lincoln, Oakland University. I know you just want to. I know you want to go to bed, and I'm holding you up here. Okay, wait. We had this. We had the graphic. Okay. Oh, they've got FMU. I don't know who FMU is. Okay, we're gonna get an update on how they play against FMU. Maybe a playoff berth is on the line for the imaginary playoff league. They're not purple, but they can maybe be Grimace League adjacent.
You know what? No, they have to change their uniforms. They're not good enough to retain those uniforms.
We should start the pitch with them switching to.
They can't
purple.
don scarlet and gold. Those colors are too strong. You have to move to a purple.
A purple and white.
Yeah.
All right, at Joe DeLeone, at Sanderson Radio, at Hack City Pod. We'll talk to you folks later. Enjoy the rest of your week.